At 72, Linda thought she was just being sentimental by keeping her late husband's magazines from 1987. But when her daughter couldn't visit because there was literally no place to sit, Linda realized something shocking: she had become a hoarder without even knowing it. If you're over 60 and your home feels more cluttered than cozy, what I'm about to share might be uncomfortable, but it could save your independence, your relationships, and maybe even your life. These 6 harsh truths about senior hoarding will hit different than anything you've heard before. Are you ready to face what might be the most important wake-up call of your golden years? I'm going to be brutally honest with you today because someone needs to say what your family might be too afraid to tell you. Hoarding among seniors has quietly become an epidemic, affecting nearly 15% of adults over 65. But here's what nobody talks about: it's not just about stuff. It's about holding on to a life that's already gone while sabotaging the life you still have left. Meet Linda Morrison, a retired teacher from Ohio. After her husband passed 5 years ago, she started keeping everything that reminded her of him. Old newspapers, broken appliances, clothes that didn't fit, all just in case. What started as grief became a prison of possessions. Her story mirrors thousands of seniors who don't realize they've crossed the line from collecting to hoarding until it's almost too late. Today, we're diving deep into 6 uncomfortable realities that every senior needs to understand about hoarding. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll see your relationship with your belongings in a completely different light. But before we start, I need to know, have you ever looked around your home and felt overwhelmed by your own stuff? Drop a comment and let me know, because you're not alone in this struggle. Number 1, your memories are actually stealing your future. Linda's breaking point came when her granddaughter asked, "Grandma, why does your house smell funny?" That's when Linda realized the harsh truth: her precious memories had become her prison. Here's what nobody tells you about sentimental hoarding: every item you keep for the memories is actually robbing you of making new ones. That stack of your late spouse's magazines? It's preventing your children from visiting comfortably. Those boxes of your kids' school projects from 40 years ago? They're keeping you from having space to pursue new hobbies or host family gatherings. The brutal reality is that memories don't live in objects, they live in your heart and mind. Linda discovered this when she finally donated her husband's old tools. She thought she'd feel devastated, but instead, she felt liberated. She could suddenly remember their happy times without being surrounded by reminders of his absence. Think about it this way: if you died tomorrow, would your family remember you for the love you showed them, or would they remember the overwhelming task of cleaning out your cluttered home? That's harsh, but it's real. Here's your action step: walk through your home right now and identify 3 items you're keeping for memories that are actually preventing you from living fully in the present. Ask yourself, is this memory worth sacrificing my current quality of life? I know this stings, but consider this: every square foot of your home that's occupied by unused items is space you can't use for living. Linda now has a beautiful craft room where she used to store old magazines, and she's making new memories teaching pottery to other seniors. The most successful seniors I know have learned to honor their past without being enslaved by it. They keep a few truly meaningful items and let go of the rest, making room for whatever life has left to offer them. What memory items are you holding on to that might be holding you back? Share in the comments. Sometimes admitting it out loud is the first step to freedom. But here's the harsh truth that's even harder to swallow, and it's coming up next. Number 2, you're not preparing for emergencies, you're creating them. Linda's wake-up call intensified when she fell in her hallway, blocked by boxes of emergency supplies she'd been collecting for years. The irony? Her hoarding had created the very emergency she was trying to prevent. This is the cruel paradox of senior hoarding: the more you prepare for what if, the more likely you are to create real disasters. Those stacks of newspapers in case we need them? They're fire hazards. That collection of expired medications just in case? They're poisonous. Those piles of old towels and blankets for emergencies? They're blocking your escape routes. Emergency responders report that hoarded homes are among the most dangerous they encounter. If you had a medical emergency right now, could paramedics easily navigate through your home with a stretcher? Could firefighters quickly evacuate you? Linda couldn't answer yes to either question, and that terrified her more than letting go of her possessions ever could. Here's the harsh mathematical truth. The statistical likelihood of needing that broken appliance you're saving just in case is about 2%. But the statistical likelihood of injury from navigating cluttered pathways in your own home? Over 40% for seniors living in hoarded conditions. Your emergency preparedness is actually emergency creation. Real emergency preparedness means having clear pathways, accessible phone numbers, and the ability for help to reach you quickly. It means having space to move safely, not stockpiles of unused items. Linda learned this lesson the hard way when her neighbor had a stroke. The ambulance crew could get to Linda's neighbor quickly because her home was organized and accessible. Meanwhile, Linda realized that in a similar emergency, she might not be so fortunate. Take this reality check right now. Time yourself walking from your bedroom to your front door in the dark. If it takes more than 30 seconds or if you bump into anything, your preparedness has become your hazard. The seniors who age most successfully in their homes are those who prioritize accessibility over accumulation. They keep their homes clear, their important documents organized, and their pathways obstacle-free. Have you ever considered how your belongings might interfere with getting help in an emergency? Let me know in the comments, because this reality check might save your life. But the next truth might be the most painful one yet. Number 3, your adult children are planning your future without you. This is where Linda's story takes a heartbreaking turn. While she was busy defending her right to keep everything, her daughter was secretly researching assisted living facilities. Linda had no idea that her hoarding had already cost her the right to make her own decisions about her future. Here's the brutal truth your family might not have told you yet. Adult children of hoarding seniors often start making contingency plans behind their parents' backs. They're not being cruel, they're being realistic about what happens when your living situation becomes unsafe or unsustainable. When Linda's daughter finally confronted her, she said something that shattered Linda's world. "Mom, I can't bring my kids here anymore, and I can't help you if you won't help yourself. We're looking at facilities that can keep you safe because your house can't." This is happening in families across America right now. Adult children are having conversations about their parents' hoarding, consulting with social workers, and researching interventions. They're doing this because they love you, but they're doing it without you because they feel they have no choice. The harsh reality is that hoarding doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone who cares about you. Your children worry constantly about your safety. They make excuses to friends about why they can't visit. They lie awake at night wondering if today will be the day you fall and can't get help because your phone is buried under papers. But here's the part that might shock you. Many adult children of hoarding parents report feeling relieved when their parent finally moves to assisted living, even though they love them deeply. Why? Because finally, their parent is safe, clean, and accessible. Linda discovered that her daughter had been cleaning other people's homes for free just to have somewhere peaceful to visit, because her own childhood home had become a source of stress rather than comfort. Your hoarding isn't just affecting your space, it's affecting your family's emotional well-being. The most empowering thing Linda did was take control of her own story. Instead of forcing her family to make decisions for her, she started making changes for herself. She began decluttering not because she was forced to, but because she wanted to maintain her independence and dignity. Ask yourself honestly, are your belongings worth risking your autonomy? Are they worth your children feeling like they have to manage your life for you? Comment below if you've noticed your family members seeming stressed or distant when they visit. Sometimes their behavior is telling you something your stuff is making it hard to hear. But wait until you hear what Linda discovered about the real cost of her hoarding. Number 4, you're spending your retirement savings on stuff you'll never use. Linda's financial wake-up call came when she calculated how much money she'd spent on storage, organization systems, and duplicate items over 5 years. The number was $23,000, money that could have funded vacations, helped grandchildren with college, or secured her own future care. This is the financial harsh truth about senior hoarding that nobody discusses. It's not just emotionally expensive, it's literally bankrupting your golden years. Seniors who hoard spend an average of $400 per month on storage solutions, duplicate items, and organizing products that never solve the real problem. Linda had 3 vacuum cleaners because she kept forgetting she already owned one. She had bought the same cookbook 6 times because she couldn't find it in her cluttered kitchen. She was paying for 2 storage units at $150 each per month, filled with items she hadn't seen in years and couldn't even remember owning. But the hidden costs were even more devastating. Linda's home needed repairs she couldn't afford because her money was tied up in stuff. Her cluttered kitchen made cooking difficult, so she was spending $300 a week on takeout. Her hoarding was literally eating her retirement savings alive. Here's the math that will shock you. The average hoarding senior spends $4,800 per year on hoard-related expenses. Over 10 years, that's $48,000, enough to pay for in-home care, home modifications for aging in place, or a significant emergency fund. Linda's breakthrough moment came when she realized she was choosing objects over experiences. While she was spending money storing her late husband's old tools, her sister was traveling to see grandchildren. While Linda was buying duplicate items she couldn't find, her neighbor was taking art classes and making new friends. The cruel irony? Most items in a hoard lose value over time. Linda's valuable collectibles were worthless due to storage damage. Her important documents were destroyed by moisture. Her investment in stuff had yielded negative returns while costing her quality of life. When Linda finally started decluttering, she discovered something amazing. Selling items she no longer needed funded the home improvements she'd been putting off for years. Her cleaner, more organized space actually increased her home's value by $15,000. The most financially savvy seniors I know follow this rule. If you haven't used something in a year, it's costing you money, not saving you money. Every item in your home should either serve your current life or bring you genuine joy. Calculate this for yourself. Add up what you spend on storage, organization, duplicates, and convenience purchases because you can't find what you need. That number represents money you're choosing to spend on clutter instead of experiences, relationships, or security. What could you do with that money if you redirected it toward actually living your life? Let me know in the comments. But the harshest truth of all is still coming. Number 5, your hoarding is a symptom of deeper issues you're avoiding. Linda's most painful realization came when her therapist asked a simple question: what are you really afraid of losing? Linda broke down as she realized her hoarding wasn't about the stuff, it was about avoiding the grief, loneliness, and fear of mortality she'd been running from for years. This is the psychological harsh truth that cuts deepest. Hoarding is rarely about the objects. It's about untreated depression, unprocessed grief, overwhelming anxiety, or deep-seated fears about aging and dying. Your attachment to stuff is often a symptom of attachment issues that go much deeper than possessions. For Linda, every item represented a piece of her identity she was terrified of losing. Her husband's clothes meant she was still a wife. Her children's old toys meant she was still needed as a mother. Her collection of craft supplies meant she was still creative and capable. But holding on to these objects was actually preventing her from discovering who she was becoming in this new phase of life. The harsh reality is that hoarding often intensifies after major life transitions, retirement, loss of a spouse, children moving away, health scares. Instead of processing these changes, many seniors unconsciously start accumulating objects as a way to feel some control over their shrinking world. Linda discovered that her hoarding had become a full-time job that was keeping her from addressing her real needs. She was spending hours organizing and reorganizing instead of dealing with her loneliness. She was shopping for more stuff instead of processing her grief. She was defending her right to keep everything instead of building new relationships and interests. But here's what Linda learned in therapy that changed everything. The things you're trying to preserve by hoarding are actually being destroyed by hoarding. Her memories of her husband were being buried under piles of his possessions. Her identity as a capable person was being eroded by living in chaos. Her relationships with her children were being damaged by her inability to prioritize them over her stuff. The most emotionally healthy seniors I know have learned to distinguish between honoring their past and being imprisoned by it. They've processed their losses, accepted their transitions, and found new sources of meaning and connection that don't require physical accumulation. Linda's breakthrough came when she realized that letting go of objects didn't mean letting go of love, memories, or identity. In fact, it meant making room for new expressions of all three. When she donated her husband's tools to a young neighbor starting his first home, she felt more connected to her husband's generous spirit than she had in years. The hardest question Linda had to answer was this: what am I really trying to control by keeping all this stuff? Her honest answer, death, change, and the passage of time, helped her understand that her hoarding was actually preventing her from living fully in the time she had left. What losses or fears might your possessions be helping you avoid? Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit that your stuff is standing between you and your emotional healing. Share in the comments if this resonates. Sometimes admitting our deeper fears is the first step to addressing them. But the final harsh truth might be the most liberating one of all. Number 6. Every day you wait, you're choosing stuff over people. Linda's most devastating realization came when her 5-year-old granddaughter asked, "Why can't we have sleepovers at your house like at Grandpa Joe's?" Linda understood then that her hoarding wasn't just affecting her, it was robbing her of precious relationships and irreplaceable moments with the people she loved most. This is the relationship harsh truth that hits hardest. Every day you choose to keep your hoard, you're choosing stuff over people. You're choosing objects over experiences. You're choosing the comfort of familiar clutter over the joy of human connection. Linda had been telling herself that her family should love her as she is, but she realized she wasn't being herself at all. She was being controlled by her possessions, and that version of her wasn't the grandmother, mother, or friend she wanted to be. The brutal mathematics of senior relationships is this: you have a limited number of holidays, birthdays, and ordinary Tuesday afternoons left with the people you love. Every one of those occasions that's compromised by your hoarding is gone forever. Linda had already lost 2 years of comfortable visits with her grandchildren because her home wasn't safe or welcoming for them. Here's what Linda discovered when she started decluttering. Her relationships immediately improved. Her daughter started calling more often because she wasn't constantly worried about Linda's safety. Her neighbors began stopping by because there was actually somewhere to sit. Her grandchildren wanted to visit because they could play and explore without danger. But the most profound change was in Linda herself. When she wasn't spending hours every day managing, defending, or organizing her possessions, she had mental and emotional energy for relationships again. She could listen without distraction, engage without shame, and love without the barrier of stuff between her and everyone else. Linda's granddaughter's first sleepover at her newly organized home was a turning point for their relationship. Instead of being the grandmother with the scary messy house, Linda became the grandmother with the cozy guest room and space for art projects. The shift in her granddaughter's excitement about visiting was worth more than everything Linda had given away combined. The harshest truth is this: your relationships are terminal. Every person in your life will eventually be gone, including you. The stuff you're holding onto will outlast all of your relationships, which means you're literally choosing temporary objects over irreplaceable people. Linda realized that when she died, her family wouldn't remember her for the things she kept, they'd remember her for the moments she shared with them. And hoarding was preventing those moments from happening. The most relationship-rich seniors I know live by this principle: if it doesn't serve your connections with people, it doesn't serve your life. They've learned that a clean, welcoming space isn't about impressing anyone, it's about removing barriers to love and connection. Ask yourself this brutal question: when was the last time someone felt completely comfortable and welcome in your home? When was the last time you prioritized a relationship over your attachment to possessions? The liberating truth Linda discovered is that once you start choosing people over stuff, the people in your life will help you continue making that choice. Her family rallied around her decluttering efforts because they finally felt chosen and valued. What relationship are you willing to sacrifice for your possessions? And more importantly, what relationship could you save by letting some of those possessions go? Tell me in the comments about someone you'd love to have feel more welcome in your home. 6 months after facing these harsh truths, Linda's life looks completely different. Her granddaughter now spends every other weekend at her house. Her daughter visits twice a week instead of making excuses to stay away. Linda has joined a book club, started volunteering at the local library, and even began dating again, something that would have been impossible when her home was a source of shame. But the most remarkable transformation isn't in Linda's house, it's in Linda herself. She discovered that she had been hiding behind her possessions for years, using them as an excuse to avoid engaging fully with life. Without the constant burden of managing her hoard, Linda found energy, confidence, and joy she thought were gone forever. Linda's story proves that it's never too late to choose people over possessions, experiences over accumulation, and life over stuff. The harsh truths that seemed so painful at first became the keys to unlocking a freedom she didn't even know she had lost. The woman who once couldn't have visitors now hosts family dinners every Sunday. The woman who spent her days managing clutter now spends her time making memories. Linda didn't just declutter her home, she reclaimed her life, her relationships, and her future. If Linda's story resonates with you, you're not alone, and it's not too late. Start with one small area today, maybe just your kitchen table or a single drawer. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress toward a life where your stuff serves you instead of controlling you. Hit that like button if this opened your eyes to something you needed to hear. Share this video with someone who might need these harsh truths. Sometimes we need others to love us enough to be honest with us. Subscribe for more real talk about making your golden years truly golden, and click that notification bell so you never miss insights that could change your life.